Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about random IDs and how to generate random IDs with 3 different packages which are very strong and well used in the industry, and then we can go through which one is better, which one you should use, and which one give you more flexibilities. So basically the first question you might ask is, why do you need random IDs? So imagine if you have a database or an array or record of any sort of data, you might need identifier just to identify them, and they need to be unique, they need to be random, and that's why you might need any of these libraries. But going back to, for example, old days, you might just say, all I need to do is to have incremented IDs. A very good example of SQL databases, for example, they're going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. But there is a problem. First is everyone can just see, for example, how many record is or exist in your database or in your system. And if you think about it a bit more deeply, it's just, for example, if you have a record of orders, so you have an e-commerce website and you're just selling whatever, and then it's very easy to find out how many orders you've done. So if I buy something this month and then go to the next month and buy again, then I can just get the number. For example, if last month it was 200, this month is 300, I know there was 100 records or 100 item has been purchased in this website or in this service. I mean, okay, you can do a few more things to not just give an accurate number, but still, with this auto-incremented, there are problems all the time. There are problems, and that's not easy to just maintain it in future if your system grow. That's why we're going through basically these 3 packages. The very first one is UUID, which is well used. As you can see in an NPM, it's already been like 78 million times or 78 million downloads per week. That's why it's very popular, and we're going to go through this one as well. So if you want to see how it looks, basically you can go to uuidgenerator.net, and then all you have to do is to basically generate one. So it will give you one, or if you want to generate one, you can just click generate. So basically it will give you this sort of ID. It is very unique. No chance or very little chance of having duplicated one, but as you can see, this is well used. We're going to go through it and we can see what do I mean by that. The next one is NanoID. NanoID will give you, again, unique random ID. It's, again, not that much used, 26 millions. We're going to go through this one deeply as well. And then the last one is sortable UUID. This is pretty much similar to UUID, but it will give you a lot of more benefits. The amount of download is not so much at the moment, but this is very strong, and this is going to solve a lot of problems that you might encounter with other type of random IDs. We're going to go through all of them, and we're going to see the benefits and pros and cons at the end. I will just open the index.js. By the way, I'm going to put the code of all of these things in a GitHub, and I will put the link in the video description, so if you want to just play around, you have some examples. The first thing is we just want to see how we can use them. So we just import NanoID, UUID version 4, and then KSUID. We're going to create UUID, we're going to create NanoID, and we're going to create KSUID. We're going to just log them. Let's see, what do I mean? So I'm in the directory. All I have to do is just to say index.js. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see. So an example for UUID is basically this one. An example for NanoID, it will be something like this. And for KSUID, we have an object which is representation of UUID. So everything is good so far, but once we dig in, you're going to find out the power of each of them. So we're going to talk about UUID. In this example, I'm going to create a UUID, and then I'm going to parse one of them so you can see what is behind this UUID, and then console log some of them, and then also I'm validating a given ID to make sure if it is a valid UUID or not. Basically, these functions don't exist, because as you can see, I renamed them or just changed the name. So UUID validate is basically a validate. If you want to just import it, make sure you know what do I mean. And also, the last but not least, I'm going to also show you a placeholder. So let me run the code and then we can explain all of them. So all I have to do is just run UUID and then let's see what do we get. Cool. The first one, let me close this one as well. So the first one, we are just console log the UUID example. So this is really an example. The second one, we are giving a placeholder. If you want to use, you can use a UUID validator or UUID validate function we have, which is actually validate. And you can see, for example, what is valid. So we're passing not a UUID, and we want to make sure if it is valid or not. The result is false. And if we give a valid one, then the result is true. So it's very easy to validate. And also, if you want to just parse it and see what is behind the scene, then you can use parse function. So all of these things mean something. If you go here, UUID, and let's look at and parse. So basically, it will convert the UUID string to array of bytes. So that's what you see here. Okay, so this is UUID. It's very powerful. And this is pretty much how you're going to use it. You're going to generate it, and then you can use it in your database or anywhere in your code base. So now let's move to KSUID and just talk about what KSUID is going to give us out of the badge. KSUID is very powerful and much, in my opinion, better than UUID because you can sort all the IDs without needing to just take care of the, I don't know, prefix it or postfix it, or look at the, for example, just use the combination keys, for example, the creation time or timestamp, because everything will be in the ID. So that's why they call it KSUID, sortable UID. And let's just create one and then check what do we have from here. So I'm going to just say node KSUID. Basically, what we are doing, we're just creating a KSUID. This is an example, the first line. And then if you want to use the string function, it will actually give you the actual UID. So you can get it by this one. And then you can just get the raw data, which is a 20-byte buffer. So that's what you're going to get. And then if you want to just, basically we have it 2 times. So I'm going to get rid of that. Well, basically no, because this is, we're using console log and then we combine it with the string. We're going to get a little bit different, but basically this buffer and this one are pretty much the same. That's the way we are logging it. So this is what you're going to get as a value if you want to use raw. But here, because we are just combining it with the string, that's why you see a little bit different and these sort of characters. So the raw data will literally give you a buffer. And then if you want to see the date behind that UID, this is very good because you can see the date. So today date is 22nd of November, and it will literally going to give you exactly the date behind the scene. So it is very good because you know when that ID was created, even if you come back 10 years later. And then the next thing is the timestamp. So you also have the timestamp if you want to play with. And then you also have the payload. Payload is still like the raw data. So if I copy and paste this one, then I'm going to remove all of this. Okay, so let me just run this one more time. So you're going to get buffer again. So you're going to get the same buffer. So with the payload and raw, so you can use them if you want, if you require buffer. But you see very clearly you have the date attributes, which is going to give you date representation or timestamp. This is going to be very useful in many use cases if you need to sort all your IDs, and by using, for example, UUID, you don't have that facility, or even many other random generators, you're not going to have it. But with the KSUID, you can have that. What is it called? The sortable functionality. Next thing which I'm going to do is the comparison with the KSUID. So let's just uncomment some of the code. So we are creating some variables today, yesterday and tomorrow. I am going to just console log them basically, and let's create today, yesterday and tomorrow. So we are creating KSUID. So basically if you want to create it from now, the timestamp is now, you are going to use random sync and you're not going to pass anything. But if you are going to use it based on a specific date, you can create that date. So as you can see, we create a date from today, which was new date, and then yesterday we are just really -1 day, and then tomorrow is +1 day. So you are creating a KSUID based on these dates, and then all you have to do is to first of all look at the KSUIDs and then do some sort of comparison. With a comparison, basically we are saying if today KSUID, so we're comparing it with yesterday. If today is bigger than yesterday, whatever is the input, then it will give us 1. And if they are equal, give us 0. And if yesterday compared with today, so means the one which we're comparing with is bigger, it will give us -1. So let's just quickly run this one so everyone has more idea. I'm going to comment out all of these things because it will be less noises around. So basically what we did, we just created 3 we are logging yesterday, today and tomorrow. So yesterday was 21st, today is 22nd, and tomorrow is 23rd. And then we are creating some KSUID. So I think that's the yesterday one, and then today, tomorrow, and then we are checking all of them. So basically we are comparing today, okay, I should stay here. Okay, we are comparing today and yesterday. So today is bigger than yesterday, give us 1. Today and today, so they're both equal, give us 0. And yesterday and today, or even if I say today and tomorrow, so today is smaller than tomorrow, or yesterday is smaller than tomorrow, then it will give us -1. So it's very easy to compare them, and I really like this bit. But it will be more fun if you see we can also sort them. So to just show the sort functionality, we are going to create more variables. So we're going to create next year. So next year is from today, and then we're going to get the full year +1. So set full year and then +1, and then last month, which is again set month, today's get month -1. So this is really JavaScript, nothing very fancy. And we are going to create a KSUID from last month. We're going to create a KSUID from next year. And what next thing we want to do, we are going to add them to arrays. Just click something. Okay, we are going to add them to an array. The array is not sorted, as you can see. It's next year, today, yesterday, tomorrow, and last month. Once we're going to sort them, well, we're going to just use a very normal and just the default sort functionality from JavaScript. Then we're going to go through that array with for each and check the values and get the date. You can get the timestamp, you can get whatever, but you can see we just console log the value. We're not really doing anything. That normal sort is going to do everything for us. What I mean is this one. So I'm gonna just really comment this bit because we don't want to really see all of this stuff. So and remember, we're just starting from the array is not sorted at all. We're going to sort it. So if I just do Node.js KSUID, so what do we see is actually fun. Okay, so we are seeing, I think I'm logging some stuff. Yeah, let me just comment these logs as well. So the only console log we have is this bit. Okay, I'll clear up and run one more time. So the array has been sorted. That's fantastic because we have last month and then yesterday, today, tomorrow, and next year. So you can see, you can just compare them the way we did. you can just sort them, all the arrays, and it will give you the sorted output out of the badge. Is very good. I mean, if you have just been working with a collection of these IDs in your code, you know sorting and comparing sometimes is very important, because sometimes you don't have any option and you just need to have a specific field, creation time or updated time or whatever you want to call them, and then you really need to check all of them by time. But here you have everything by default and you don't really need to work for them. That's why it's very good and it's very like strong in that sense. With the NanoID, everything is much simpler. Basically, what you have to do is you're going to import NanoID and you create one. So let me just comment out everything else because we don't want to be distracted. So we don't need this line either. So I'm going to just say clear and then node NanoID. So we created the NanoID, but maybe this is just too long, or we want to make it shorter, or we want to use a specific variables. Out of the badge, NanoID is using URL save characters, means A to Z. So basically, it's going to give you A to Z, and then also A to Z as a character, dash, and 0 to 9. So you have pretty much a good range of characters, and it could be long, it could be not, but if you want to change these things to, for example, A to H, then you can literally do it. It's very simple, which I'm going to talk about in a few seconds. And the way to do it, there we go. Basically, it's very simple. So you are going to import the custom alphabet. With the custom alphabet, you're literally going to see these are the valid, or these are the allowed characters, and this is the length. So I want 10 characters random ID, which consists of only these characters, and you can see here it will give you the it will give you, that's here, it will give you the custom NanoID. The other way to just work on every allowed characters, ignoring this bit, so every allowed characters is just to pass NanoID with this version. So this NanoID 10, so I'm gonna just comment this line of code and this line of code. So let me just run this one more time. So here it's just a normal NanoID, line 7 here. The next one is with 10 characters. So you can see with 10 characters, if you want to just give any number to NanoID function, it will give you it will just limit the length of characters to 10 or any number you give. But if you want to have a custom one, so you will open the custom one. As you can see, you only allow 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, E, F, and then 10. So I'm going to run it. You can see you only see 2, 3, 2, 3, and E, C, D, B, E. So you don't see anything more. This is random, and there will be nothing out of these characters we give. So no matter how many times I run it, you can see again, it's A, B, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, E, F, not any more characters. So it's very handy if you're going to use it for different purposes. So you can see I introduced 3 different packages or libraries, and they all come with different functionalities. Depends on your use case, you can use any of them. I have been using, for example, NanoID for a long time, and it works very well. The possibility of having duplicated is very little. However, the possibility with UUID or KSUID is pretty much to 0. Well, we don't have a 0, but it's very close to none. But with the UUID, depends how random you have characters, and the length of this ID, it will give you different random ID. Let's go through a website which is actually checking for all of these things. While we're in this topic, if you go to NanoID, basically first thing first, you can see the size of package. So the package is not very big, and we just gone through everything. And if you want to know more, so basically NanoID is using, for example, whatever technologies. It's quite small, 130 bytes. It's safe, it's portable. You can use it as a CLI. You can use it in many things. But if you scroll down a little bit, so we have a benchmark. NanoID is pretty much here, so it's still very good. If I move to, for example, here, scroll down a little bit, we have ID collision probability. If you open this link, you will end up here. It will try to give you what is the possibility of having collision on your NanoID. Because we choose, for example, 10 characters and this amount of, well, allowed characters, then there is a different chance. So let's just use 10, for example. Okay. Apparently it doesn't work, so we need to drag it. So it's 10 characters, and then we are using 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, E, F. Let's go here. And now if you look with this amount of character, if we create, so we have, these are the allowed alphabets or characters, the length is 10, and then if we create 1000 IDs per hour, it requires around 8 hours to create, to just have, there is 1% of probability to have one collision. But think about it, if I just move to 12 characters, it takes 3 days. Even if I create 1000 IDs per hour, then I'm gonna get that one. Let's say we are creating, for example, I don't know, 100 IDs per second with these 12 characters. That's the possibilities. But to be honest, look at that. If we have all the possible, so underscore and dash, alphabet, capital letters, small letters, and 0 to 9. So if we have all of these things and we are creating 100 IDs per second, the length is 12. It takes around 3 years to have 1% of collision. If I just move it to a little bit, I don't know, 19 characters, this is the possibility. Are we going to be alive? And is our service going to be used? Probably not. Let's just even go to 10 years. 18 days. This is a lot. So this is very good. So if I just, let's say we're going to go with 13 characters and our service is creating 100 IDs per second, it takes 25 years. I think 25 years would be a very good one, because you are going to have our system probably in 25 years needs to be redone, or new languages, new technologies, and a lot of those things. And there is a few values to feel the scale. So if you think of 25 years, our human lifespan is around 79 years. So how often we're going to have this issue? Pretty much we are safe. If you don't limit yourself with alphabet and amount of characters, NanoID is very fast and really amazing. Really amazing. I've been working with it and it really just shines in many cases. You can use it with async and await, so everything should be straightforward. So if I scroll down, well, if I go to the GitHub and if I go here, so you can use with async and await, you can use it in many like different ways. So it's just a very, very nice ID to use and random ID to use in your application. Moving on, so I close the NanoID. I will go to KSUID. KSUID is also a very fancy one, the one we were just talking about, sorting and comparing. This is very useful if you're going to use it. Why? Because first of all, it's very small, very, very small. The amount of download is not that much at the moment, but the idea is cool and I think it's very useful. Pretty much in many systems you can use it. The dependency, pretty much you don't have much of dependency because that's very safe. And moving on, if I go to the KSUID, they are using segments KSUID library from Golang, and if I go to there, they are talking why this is important and how we can use it. First of all, it's collision free, so you don't really have a chance to have collision. It's very, very little or maybe none, basically. It is ordered by time. This is a very big benefit. And it's also portable, so you can use it in many ways. As you saw, we use it with sort here, and it will give us the sorting. And also you saw here that we can just get the date or we can get the timestamp. That's why it's very powerful. It's very nice to use, I think, in many use cases. And if you want to just know more about KSUID, so if you go to basically KSUID npm and then go to the GitHub. From here, if you just go to the real implementation, which is in Golang, so you're in Golang, and scroll down a little bit, I would really suggest reading A Brief History of UUID. This is an interesting read, and I think there will be a lot of fun things and interesting things you're going to realize by reading the problem with UUID, how KSUID is going to solve those problems, which is actually sorting and more portability, and it would be a nice read. Last but not least, which we talk about, was the UUID. UUID is a little bit bigger, has more download and more mature, but I think when it comes to sorting, when it comes to get the data out of this UUID, it's not going to give you much of flexibility. Sometimes it's a feature because you don't want anyone to know when was this ID created. So it really depends on the use case, or you don't want to give anyone any indication of date and time, or no one should be able to sort it because of whatever reason you have in your application. So maybe then you should go with UUID. But you saw also the power of NanoID. If you want to use NanoID, that also shine, depends on how many characters you're going to use. If you're using this many characters, I think NanoID will never disappoint you as well. You saw we were just checking 10 or 12 or 13 characters, and here we have more characters. But out of the batch, we have these three libraries. A lot of people, a lot of applications are using them. Depends on your use case. Go ahead and use them. I think this is just the end of this video, and once again, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy these kind of videos, if you learn something, please don't forget to like or subscribe, share it with others, maybe they will benefit as well, and I'll see you in the next video.